Kia ora team, we're looking at Google Drive today, and we're looking at the first of 5 scenarios when working with shared folders and changing access. So basically we're looking at areas of concern and potential barriers to our file management and sharing in our organization, and hoping that we can all move forward and make sure that we're keeping our files safe and secure. So one of the things that can happen is that every file or folder created in Google Drive by default will inherit the permissions of the folder or file above it. And so any folder that's moved into, say, a shared folder will inherit the same properties and be shared with the same people above it. Now that does present a problem because lots of files and folders are being shared across our organization, and users have the ability to organize their own set of folders and files in their own way. And if users are unaware that they're moving files and folders into other folders that are previously shared with a different group of people, then that has the potential to change the way that files and folders are viewed. So just a quick scenario before I show you on the video in Google Drive. So scenario here is Steph has shared a folder with me, okay, one that I can edit, and that means that, you know, he wants to work with me, we want to do some collaboration and work on some stuff together, and by default, you know, I'll get a notification or I'll go into my Google Drive shared with me, and I'll be able to add that folder to my drive. At that point there, I can organize where I would like that folder to appear. Now, if I actually move that folder into another folder that I may have already shared with, say, Woody, what happens then? And here's the answer. So basically, Steph shared a folder with me, and then I've decided to move it inside another folder that I own, but is actually shared with Chris Woodward. The scenario here is that Steph shared this folder, I can edit it, I can move it where I want, and as soon as I put it inside another folder shared with somebody else, it's going to inherit those same permissions. So now the folder that Steph thought he was only sharing with me is now shared with Chris Woodward as well. The way we can get around that is by actually looking at the restrict editors from changing access, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. So we're going to skip straight over into Google Drive, and I've set up 3 different folders. One that's owned by me and it's shared with Chris, one that's owned by Steph and is that I can edit and I can change access, we'll come back to that, and then another folder owned by Steph that prevents me from changing that access. So what I'm going to do is first of all have a look at and just double check, and so that everyone can see, yep, Steph's the owner of the folder and I can edit, awesome. And in this case, again, Steph's the owner of the folder and I can edit. Okay, so now as soon as I go to move both of these folders, theoretically, if I can edit and apply changes to access, they should both now be shared with Chris. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to navigate straight into that folder that's now shared with Chris. So if we look at the first folder that I can change access at, sure enough, this folder is now inherited the permissions above, and Chris Woodward can also now see this folder. If I look at the one that Steph actually applied the changing or prevented me from changing access, it may be in the folder with Chris, but in actual fact it will not apply the same share settings as above. So the way we can change that access to folders and files is by, when we're the owner of a folder or file, we can share, we go to advanced, and we can tick the prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So this means that anyone can organize their files and folders in a manner that they choose, but you maintain that sharing integrity and security. And so there might prevent any mishaps from happening with sharing with other people that you hadn't intended to. In terms of the way this would work is, usually this kind of sharing would happen when you're working on small projects or with groups of people outside your department, and so you'll be working with files and folders that are inside your own file management system, inside Drive, rather than, say, inside your department shared drive where other members of your department would access anyway. So hopefully that's cleared up that issue, and we can move on to scenario 2. We'll catch you later.